All right, so before we get to your guys' videos, I just want you to look at these guys here. Down here, you can't tell. That's Mr. Kershaw. And this over here is a much younger Charlie Morton. Chapman, Urias Familia, Anibal Sanchez, and this is Reggie Crawford, um, drafted out of UConn this year. He's a lefty, as you can see. He's been upwards of like 102. Didn't place his college ball this past season because he got arm surgery, and he was still like a first or a second round draft pick. So this dude's a stud. I want us just to look at everyone's waistline and down, from the belt down to the ground. And what's a very common theme with all these guys? One, we have the ability to see the belt buckle. At some point in time, Sanchez's, if I get to him, his glove's in the way, but we can see it starting to come through, and then boom, foot's in the ground, and it's hidden by the glove. Kershaw's belt buckle, okay? Every one of these guys is paused at front foot strike. All right, we talked about that today. Front foot strike is the moment in time when our front foot strikes the ground. Not difficult to remember. When does my front foot strike the ground? That's front foot strike, okay? At front foot strike, we need to have belt buckle as much rotated to home plate as we possibly can. All right? For most of us, we're going to achieve that by getting a more direct stride to the target. However, some of us will be able to do it still by striding slightly across our body, or even more extremely across our body. We can still get the belt buckle through. Okay? The biggest thing, in order to get the belt buckle through to the target, and I say through because we need to get the back hip through. We need to get this back hip to go forward. Once that back hip goes forward, once the back hip, who can I take? Go here. Once the back hip goes forward, back hip comes forward, the hips finally complete a good amount of their rotation. If we go over here to Chapman, as the back hip pushes and drives through, the hips finally turn over. Here at Charlie, as the back hip drives forward, the hips begin to rotate. Crawford over here, as the back hip drives forward, the hips will rotate. And we need these hips to rotate as much as we possibly can before that front foot hits the ground. Because the amount of energy that we can create, the amount of power that we can create, the amount of force that we can create from that rotation of that lower body at this moment in time, at front foot strike, that power that we create, that energy that we've created, gets the ability now to be shot up to our upper body, to then have our upper body do that same exact movement, which is rotate the backside forward. Drive the backside forward. All right, so if we watch these guys and watch how the backside arm on Chapman is coming forward, which allows him to throw the baseball down. We go to Charlie, and because he got in this position, this allows his rotation to go down. His back shoulder gets to go forward. His back shoulder gets to go forward. Why? Because the lower body back half, the lower body's backside drove forward at foot strike, and then at foot strike, it sends it up so that the backside of the upper body can then do that same movement. And this is how we most efficiently, most powerfully, and the most command of the fastball and all of our pitches is when our bodies can move like this. It also happens to be how our arm takes the least amount of stress to throw the ball over and over and over again at really high intensities, because the body is throwing the ball, not the arm throwing the ball. All these bodies are creating that power from the lower half, sending it to the upper half, so the back shoulder goes forward, driving the ball down through release. Driving the ball down. The back shoulder will go forward. We're not rotating to the side. The back goes forward. Back goes forward. The back hip drives forward. The back shoulder drives forward. We're not throwing with the arm. We're throwing with the body. The arm just follows. So that way we can throw the ball down. Same thing with Kershaw. Back arm goes forward. Back arm's going forward to drive the ball down. And then, boom. Smell ya. That's 100% intensity, fellas. Every one of us has it in us. We just got to figure out how to unlock it. And it's all about attitude, mindset, and just go get it. This is the mindset right here. You got to make a lot of money before you start doing this on a field, and you got to be doing it in a completely different country than America. But that's the mindset. Every pitch is just, here it comes. I'm at you. And then once you start making some millions of bucks, and you've been doing it for a long, long time, then you can start doing that stuff. Okay? So those guys right there is that. Oops, I didn't want to do that. I want to just exit out of that. Boom. To reveal then what you guys look like at front foot strike. All right, so I'm just going to kind of let it sit here for a moment so you can kind of find where you are located at. Kind of take inventory of what your lower body looks like. Can you see your belt buckle? Is your front leg in a good alignment to the target? Is our knee going to be able to stay solid right there as we throw? Is our upper body still closed off and strong up top? Or are we starting to open up? Is our back foot turned over, rotated, and driven away from the pitching rubber? Or is our foot still pretty much all the way on the rubber? Or is just our heel kind of off of the rubber? Or do we know that and see that our foot is turned over in its rotation at this point in time? Knowing that we've rotated forward and not just in place. So what we're going to do, now that you've seen that front foot strike position and you know what to look for when the videos are playing all at once, I'll give you guys a moment to be able to watch your videos here as they loop through. All right, so I'm going to allow these to keep looping as I pull one out at a time and kind of make it bigger so we can look at it clear. Obviously, we can all learn from each other's that may apply to yours. So if we get, who is this, Holmes? Yeah. So if we get Homie at moment of first contact with that front foot, we can notice that it's going to be right there first. It's on the inside part of our foot. Why is it on the inside part of our foot? Well, because the knee is not only angled over here, but the knee is over here. So the foot is trying to get in good alignment, but we need to rotate the knee, not just move the foot to a straight point. We need to get the knee rotated. We need to get both knees rotated because those are the things that are closest to the hips, which is ultimately what we want rotated at front foot strike. Also, if our foot's not making contact into the ground at a flat impact, meaning the front foot hits the ground all flat at the same time, we're going to lead and have some instability in that front foot strike foot. So now that front foot strike has to stabilize out, and as we did that, we can kind of see what's the body do. The upper body kind of gets itself rotated, but that front shoulder is starting to open up. So now we're finally into a front foot strike position that we could have the chance to now keep this knee here, stabilize our lower half, and hopefully get the chance to get some energy to get sent up to our upper body. Okay, so now let's just watch this knee, and does this knee stay here, or does this knee continue to roll out? It's rolled out to this point, but can we stop it and then lock it out? Okay, so we can kind of see once it starts, it continued to here. Now the ball's out. Now we lock it out and finally firm it up into one spot. So this front knee is always moving while that ball is still in your hand. So the front leg, which once it gets into front foot strike, needs to, there's a lot of terms for it, lock out, needs to break, it needs to stiffen out, it needs to send energy up. There's a lot of different ways to think about it or give it a phrase. But once this foot hits the ground, we need to think knee. If it goes out one or two little bits, that's fine. But we got to then lock it out so that way it doesn't keep going. Otherwise, all of our rotational energy that we want to send up can't get sent up because it's still rotating. We need it to stop rotating so then it can get sent up. If it keeps on rotating the lower body, it's just now pulling the upper body now with it instead of lower body sending energy to upper body and upper body taking over. So since that knee keeps going out till here, and now at this point in time, you have the ability to stabilize it. But where does it stabilize to? It stabilizes to in. Why does it stabilize in? Because the knee got outside of your body before we could stop that knee falling out. Why did that knee fall out? Because we didn't get the knee rotated enough at front foot strike to be in a position like this, but with the upper body still in this position. So we need to work on driving and rotating this back leg more to help get this front leg more, all while this front foot stays off the ground for a split second longer, so that way it can travel not just to here and then get to here, but it'll travel, and instead of landing right there, we'll probably be landing another extra inch and a half or so out because it'll travel for a split second longer as that knee continues to rotate out to this position. Then we hit the ground. Hopefully then the shoulders are still here. And then we'd lock it out from there, having much cleaner delivery, equaling tremendous amounts of more velocity for you. So we just got to think about lower half rotation, specifically front knee. Front knee can get helped along with that rotation by the backside getting more aggressive and involved. So that way the back knee is turned over and rotated more prior to the front foot hitting the ground, which could help then accelerate that knee around more. Next guy. Oops. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Okay. So, good high leg lift. But same thing. We can see moment of first contact is right there. We can see the foot's no longer going forward, and it's the ankle now rolling over to get flat into contact. So that's really our first moment of contact into the ground. And we can see our hips have done nothing. Our back foot is still fully connected to the rubber, and our hips are there. So then by the time that foot finally does get into the ground completely, we are in a good spot with getting the hips through. Now, can we just make sure that this knee doesn't continue this path here because of how our foot got into the ground? If we can stabilize it, sweet. If not, we're going to have to address it. So we'll watch over the next few frames. Once we got that knee, what's the knee do? Oh, there it goes. There it goes. There it goes. There it goes. The ball's out now, and our knee this entire time has been moving out. So that means that our lower body never stopped its rotation to be able to send its rotational power up top. Just like we saw in Holmes, we have a very similar thing happening here. So again, just like Holmes, we got to learn how to rotate knees. We got to learn how to drive off our back leg to gain ground so that way the foot doesn't hit so soon. So that way it's traveling longer to give us more time to complete the knee's rotation. So that way once it hits, we can stabilize it and lock it out, not allowing it to rotate out like that. Next dude. Let's get it back to the top. And same thing, we'll pause you at moment of first contact. There's that heel hitting right there. So almost identical to what we just saw. Okay, same lower body position. Now we'll watch the foot roll over itself to get full into contact. So now it's two things. Just like we were saying with these guys, can this knee now stop that swivel and stabilize itself? Can it stop the swivel and stabilize? Can it stop the swivel and stabilize? But even more damaging, and we talked about this a lot last year, is that our upper body, look how much it has rotated at this point of time when our front foot has finally gotten flat and stable into the ground. It's fully rotated almost. Our backside has not rotated at all, and our front side is already fully rotated almost. So now we're back to just pushing that baseball and putting a lot of stress on our arm to throw the ball. So this is definitely something that's going to be very, very, very important for you and your overall arm health over these next few years as you continue to get bigger and stronger and have the ability to produce more power output, that we're not putting all that additional power output into a really bad load onto the arm that would then send out more power because we're stronger, but be doing a lot more internal daily wear and tear than needed, and therefore would be putting us into a position where we're at a much higher risk of injury like halfway through the season and onward, because it's just so taxed at that point from all the stress we're putting on it. So anyway, let's go back to the knee and see if once we get that foot flat in the ground, can we stabilize that knee? And we can see, no, we can't. In fact, we can't even stabilize the foot because it was landed so much here that the foot is going to even slide out. slide out. And now this is as we're trying to throw the baseball with all of our upper body rotational whip and getting it out there, our whole body is spinning like that. So we're never, again, stable through release. We don't get stable until well after release. So another guy that we got to learn how to rotate our lower body on time. We got to learn how to drive off that back leg. Mostly learn how to get that back leg going and driving us out and rotating and turning on time and getting this front leg to get to here at front foot strike, but not have the ball be out of our hand already, but instead be like here when the lower body is here. Upper body would be here. So we can see just how much that timing is off because of where our lower body got us at front foot strike. So we got to learn how to use our lower body when we're pitching here, especially on these full mounds. If we're not using our lower body, we're going to be putting so much additional stress onto our arms that we didn't have necessarily when you were on smaller mounds. And your seasons are only going to get longer because the games you're going to be playing are going to be more intense with the throws because there's further distances. So we want to make sure that everything that we're doing with our arm is to keep it as healthy as possible and moving as smooth as possible. So take this one from the top. Good high leg lift. And we're going to stop front foot strike. Oh, I was a little late. Let's get it back. And we can see we are at the hitting our big toe as our first moment of contact. And we can see nothing has rotated with the back foot's completely connected with the ground. Hips are still there and the foot's in this position. And in fact, we haven't rotated the front leg to get it out over here. All we've really done is just taken our leg and opened it up and just opened it up. We need to rotate it forward. We need to rotate it out, not just open it up. We need it to be gaining ground as it rotates. So we'll see once that foot gets fully into the ground, we can see that the back foot still hasn't rotated yet. Still isn't fired. So the back hip still can't come through. We can see that knee is kind of inside of our body here. So as long as it can stay here and not swivel out, we're going to be okay. Our glove's in a pretty good position. Our shoulders, our upper body's in a good position here. And then we can see there's the knee rotating. And now it's stabilizing. Ball's out though. By the time the knee stops rotating, boom, and can stabilize, meaning it's sturdy in place, the ball is already out of our hands. We can also see, because it's the way that our body had to sequence and time things, because the lower body didn't rotate on time, and the upper body just had to start going because it was time for it to go, this back foot never gets to rotate. It just gets pulled off the ground. It never rotates. It just gets pulled off the ground. Pulled off the ground. So that means we didn't get the opportunity to drive or rotate off our back leg. All we got to do is take our front leg and swoop it open. Swoop it open. And not even really open. Just swoop it out, rather. Swoop it out. Probably a better way to say it. Just swooping it out. So now we can kind of see even on your face, it's like, all right, here I go. I got to really get after this rotation with my upper body. And now it kind of gets to my shoulders out. And I'm getting around the baseball. I'm not really throwing it all that much down out in front of me. I'm just throwing it kind of just out. And it's like, please get back. Around. Please get going down. Please get going around. But the ball's already out before we can have that impact on that with the throw. And that's just because the lower body's late, which doesn't help the upper body get itself out in front because of the lower body getting itself into this position, and then the knee rolling out to this position, and then ball's out before the lower body is stabilized. All right, so from the top, we'll stop it at front foot strike. Boom. Moment of first contact is right there. Same thing with the inside of your big toe is the first contact. We can see no belt buckle because the hip is still straight to us. This knee is blocking any potential of that back hip being able to come through. We can also see the back foot is only shifted weight to the toes. It hasn't rotated. It hasn't driven yet at first contact. So let's see once that foot gets into the ground, because whatever the back foot does now doesn't have any bearing on our energy because the front foot already hit the ground. So now the front foot has stabilized itself into the ground. Can this knee now stabilize in this position, or is it going to continue to roll out? It continues to roll out until now. Let's see. It continues to roll out till now, and now it stabilizes, but the ball's already out by then. So another guy that by the time your lower body gets itself into front foot strike there, we just have not rotated at all. So that means now all we are going to be is a guy who just spins his upper body as quick, as aggressively, as side to side as we possibly can, because that is your physical limit on how you can produce any type of power. It is just how much can I go side to side now, because that's the only thing that you've left your body the ability to do. We didn't drive out to create any power. The lower body is now in a position where it's still closed off here. So now it's just upper body. How much can I yank and pull? Look at that head. How much can I just yank over here to try to get this arm to get around my body? Instead of going straight to the target, we can see that these shoulders are peeling out to bring and open up that back shoulder. Instead of the back shoulder coming forward, it's the front shoulder opening up. And now we're trying to drive down, but it's too late. The ball's almost already out of our hands before any of that can have impact on it. So I remember you and I kind of had that conversation about rotating that lower body and getting things rotated before the front foot hits today. So now we can see even more how important it is to use our body and not just rotate as fast as we can side to side with our upper body. So I'll get from the top. Pretty good leg lift. Okay, I think we could probably get some more on this, but decent enough. Okay, so moment of first contact with that foot is almost the whole inside part of your foot hits first. Front hip is trying to rotate. Back hip can't do anything really because the back foot hasn't done anything besides shift some weight to the toes and lifted the heel off of the ground. And then inside part of the foot hits. So we're another guy that we're going to now have to get this front foot to get into the ground. Okay, now that it's in the ground and stabilized, can that knee, like those other guys we've been talking about, can that knee now stop rotating and stay here and stabilize and lock out from here? All right. We can also see, because that front foot hit when it did, and the back foot had only done what it had done at that point in time, that the back foot now can't drive. It's just left with kind of turning in place, like we've seen in some of these other ones. But let's watch this front knee for the first time. And does it stabilize or does it keep going out? It kind of keeps going out. It kind of keeps going out until now, and now it finally stabilizes. Doesn't lock out until really ever, but at least it stops rotating out. But it didn't stop rotating out until when? The ball is already out, so it doesn't matter. We're not able to send any of our lower body energy up if our lower body is continually shifting out, which then is going to have that front shoulder kind of open up on us. And now we're kind of just fighting for our life to try to get it out in front, trying to. All right, so another guy that's going to have to learn and do a lot of lower body rotational drill and rotational drive and lower body rotational drive drills. Man, rotational drive drills. Okay. Apologize, I'm getting a little tongue-tied here. I just got done doing another full team just like this, and then 8 individual clients from yesterday. So need to get something to drink here. Give me a moment. Oh. Okay. So from the top over here, great high leg lift. We can kind of see a little bit of a hunch, a little bit of a hunch, a little bit of a hunch going on. Any motion that goes one way is going to have to continue to go that way until an outside force stops it. Your outside force is your knee makes contact, so that means now the chest is going to start to, at some point, go the other way. And now here it is. So if we're going to start, or if we're going to eventually get to this position at front foot strike, and we start at this position, we might as well just stay in that position so that way we don't have an extra movement. But again, it's not an issue as long as the energy of us going from here to here doesn't continue to go out this way. Okay? But let's first look at the theme of what we've been looking at with everyone else, and that is moment of first contact with front foot strike. So we are hitting that heel first, and then by the time it finally gets into the ground, we're about, I'd say, there. Okay, and unfortunately, how long it took for that front foot to get flat in the ground and stabilize, the upper body has begun to rotate a lot, right? So we're really missing out on a lot of our potential power is just kind of being left on the sideline. And never going to be able to kind of tap into it when we find ourselves into this position at front foot strike. So what we need to think about, like the other ones, is now that this front foot is here, can this knee stabilize? Because it has been finally rotating. Now that this front foot has finally gotten flat in the ground, and this is straight to the target, and this backside is finally turned over, can this stabilize in this position to allow us to rotate out in front? Yes. Like I said, it can go a little bit extra, but can it stabilize after that? Yeah. It is stabilizing, but when is it? Ball's already out. By the time it stabilizes. So we're missing out on that. A lot of power potential. We're trying to get down, but we're reaching to get it down. We're just reaching. We're so close that you're just reaching for it to get down, but we just can't quite get it there because that lower body is just not finishing its process on time, which then just makes the upper body not have the ability or the space to do its movements cleanly to get out in front down this mound on time. But we're close. Fish. From the top, kind of same thing. A little bit of a hunch. Which again, it could just be your unique thing that you do, but we know any motion that goes in one way is going to have to be stopped by some other force. What's the force that's stopping your chest from hunching down even more? It's that knee coming up. Now that it's stopped, it's going to have to get back to where? At front foot strike, it's going to have to get back to this position. So if we already started it in this position, and we get the front foot strike in this position, the more simple, basic, more repeatable way would just be try to stay in that position as we travel out. We don't have to, but it's going to potentially eliminate some things that may be difficult to do. First, let's look at front foot strike. We see that first moment of contact is that heel, then the foot gets stabilized. So now that the foot is stabilized, we can see that back foot is pretty turned over, but not completely. It's starting to. Foot's in the ground, and now it can't continue because it can't keep driving you forward because the foot's already in the ground. We can't go any further forward. That's when the back foot's going to kick off the ground because we just lose that slight ability to use that as power. We just missed it. It still wants to drive. It can't drive us forward, so it's just going to kind of spin in place and then kick off the ground. So we're leaving some power out there. just from that, something you already do well. We just need more time to do it. So in order to get more time to do it, we can think Pythagorean theorem, which hopefully you all are old enough to understand Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared. C squared is our stride. Okay? What did I call this down here? I can't remember. We're just going to say this one was A down here. A squared is the point of which our foot lands, which is always going to be relatively the same, right? How can we make it further? Well, we would have to get B squared higher to make C squared further. So if we raise our leg higher, the foot will be further away from the ground, which means as we travel out, it won't get to the ground as early as yours does. Okay, another thing we can do if we don't want to go leg higher is we don't let the leg go down so quickly out of our leg lift. We allow our body to go forward like you do here, but we keep that leg up for a split second or two. Not split second or 2 seconds. Like that's a lot, but you know what I'm saying. Our delivery is only taken hopefully less than like 1.5 seconds right now. So a split second or two in consideration of what our delivery time is, okay? Think about just kind of letting the knee stay here as our body goes to here, and now the knee drops down to like here by the time the body gets to here, and then the knee is down to here by the time the body gets to here, and now the knee, gets here by the time the body gets to here, but it's also been rotating during this time as well. The last couple times. So now we're going to be able to get this knee more out in front, and it's going to give us more time to get this backside rotated all the way, which creates more power in our lower half. So yes, our stride will get bigger. Like that's a measurable thing that we could see if we're doing it right, but we're not trying to get this foot further out. We're trying to drive our whole body further out. Okay, does that make sense? Our angle that we land in is not going to change. So we're not straightening the leg out more to land further out. It's our back leg is going to be able to drive our body further because the front foot's not going to hit the ground until now. And this toe's still going to be in the ground because the foot just hit the ground. And now we have 2 feet in the ground with hips fully turned over. Then we could just think about how we can move that glove to get a little bit cleaner. And then if I go back to... Come on, open up. What's going on? There we go. You guys like that? That was sweet. Hopefully, some of you may have a Mac in your house and you already know what's up. What we're looking at front view. If we look at chat, but like we just cleaned that glove up a little bit, and that knee was just a little bit more here because, like we said, we'd have it more time to get there. Like you guys are looking pretty similar. We just got to keep your shoulders closed a little bit more versus where his shoulders are, which I said we'd clean up the glove path a little bit to get that, but we'd be getting into some positions that dudes that throw 103 are doing. Obviously, Chapman's strength is off the charts. His flexibility, mobility, and all that. But I'm just saying, like, the positions your body's able to get to are of similar ones. So we're very, very close. Very, very close. We just need more time. And we can get that by the leg lift. So it's just manipulating the leg lift a little bit and then just allowing you to do what you already do, but with just an extra 0.2 seconds of time with that leg in the air. Because then we can see as your shoulders are rotating, that back shoulder is coming forward. Boom! And we're so close to being able to get it down. We're so close. We need the ball in our hand right here still. And then, boom, look at that. It'd be right down. Like, we're so close with our timing. We got next right here. Hopefully I got enough street cred in YouTube to be able to upload a video that's going to be this long. So leg lift, is a good height, but something to kind of think about. And this doesn't need to change, but we can already see the ball coming out of your glove and the leg's not even all the way at the top. That's not going to be a problem if that's going to be your hand separation timing. It could just be something that may get our upper body going a little quicker than we may want it to. Okay. But that's something to talk about and think about later because that's more fine tuning than it is an immediate mechanical adjustment to think about. So we will continue the theme of front foot strike and we'll see boom. It's close. You can see that the heel does make contact there. Then the foot gets in the ground and stabilizes. Okay, so the foot's stable. Can the knee now stay in this position and start to stabilize itself from its rotation to get there? Okay, so it's going a little bit. Can it lock itself out? Yes, but when does it do it by? Is the ball in our hand still by that time? No. It's close. But how close that is not the time, enough time to send our rotation from the lower half fully up to the upper half to get that extra power and reduce that arm stress and to really help us get that ball going down this mound. We're close, though. The shoulders are rotating well. We're close. We just got to get that knee rotated more. We got to get that back foot driving us out better so that way it doesn't just rotate upwards in the air because that front foot's on the ground already, not gaining ground as we do this. My bad, dude. You're probably sitting there like, dude, start my video again so I can watch how sweet I was. All right. Fantastic leg lift height, but like we talked about, we're sacrificing our upper body, having to talk to do that, where we could and should just lift this knee straight between our elbows. There's no need to get the elbow behind the knee when we can just get the knee between the hands. And if we still want to get it that high, then we just get the hands a little bit further away from our body and just let it go right between our hands. Because any movement we do early, we're going to have to do some other movement later to counter that and get us back to where we need to be. And more steps is just more things that we got to be masters of. So what we want to think about is then seeing where are we at front foot strike. We're kind of hitting big toe on the inside of it. And then we roll that foot. Okay, now it seems like we have stabilized it. Doesn't quite look like the heel is in. And that's probably because the front foot is hitting well before the back foot has driven us down the mound at all or rotated. Because we can see there's nothing with the belt that's turned over yet at front foot strike. Oh, yeah. Speaking of that, real quick, back to fish. As much as I was pumping you up, dude, I'm about to just give you a good old Sheldon Cooper Bazinga or Michael Scott boom roasted. We can't see your belt buckle, and that's why I didn't make a comment of it, because you're not wearing a freaking belt, dude. What do we got going? But for you guys that were wondering, like we would be able to see the belt buckle here. And I do apologize I didn't make a comment of that when we were looking at it earlier. But that's mostly Mr. Fish's fault for not wearing a belt. That would help me draw attention to it. But can't see the belt buckle. So by the time we get things in a position where we can start to see it, that foot stabilized. Oh, yep. So, okay, we thought the foot was stabilized there, but like I said, the heel was off the ground. So watch, the foot spins. Now it's getting to the point where it's stable. Now this knee's in a position that can allow the back hip the spacing to get there. Now the back foot seems like it's turned over, but look how much we had to sacrifice our upper body's rotation to get there. So now we can lock it out. Sweet. But where did we lock it out from? Like here. So by the time we're stable, we got that amount of power built up only to throw the ball. If we think about it in terms of that. So you have the ability, and your body knows how, and your front leg knows the pattern of getting this angle and then lock it out. Like, it knows how to do that really well. It does it extremely well with a lot of force. But the downside is that it's been in the ground from here. It's in the ground, it's in the ground, it's in the ground, it's in the ground. Now it's doing it. It needs to land here so it can do it. Because if it lands here and our upper body is here, talk about power, dude. You're probably going to be... Let me look at these faces real quick before I make this assumption. Yeah. You're going to be in contention for hardest guy off the bump because of how well you can lock that out, and your ability to get your trunk out in front. We just got to be able to get these things rotated, and who knows, maybe with just simply working on this leg lift variety that we're talking about will help get this in the position. But we are also a guy that's going to have to, like, your backside is, boom, your backside is doing it. Let me get you back big here. Your backside foot it's doing it. It's driving. There's the drive. It just didn't have time to do the rotation. So, like, there's your drive movement right there, fellas. Drive is not just heel goes up. It's heel is rotating forward. That heel is going forward. That big toe is staying on the ground, and everything is folding over top of it. You see that there, guys? Everything is folding over top of that big foot. That is a drive. Then everything's got to completely continue to turn over. Boom, that's a rotation. But we need that to occur, and then the foot hit the ground. Because if that's the case, when the foot hits the ground the first time, where's our upper body? Boom, right here, just like all those other dudes were that we saw in the big league videos. So, another guy that's very close. Next dude from the top. Good high leg lift. So like we're saying, here we go. Here's a great example. That just worked out fantastic. High leg lift, just like you, dude. But where's his at? Right between those elbows. So that way he doesn't have to turn those shoulders and hunch and stuff like that. He can just stay in a better, more relaxed position. So that's kind of a good example for you to kind of watch. Now that you know yours, I know we're not going to be able to see too many more of his. But next time you watch this video and you fast forward to your part where we're talking about you can kind of go back one or two and watch one of these guys first, so you can be watching over here as I'm talking about these guys leading up to yours to help you kind of get a better idea of what we're looking for. Okay, so I'll get you back to the top. Excuse me. Good high leg lift. Okay, so heels hitting first. So let's see, once the foot gets flat into the ground, we're in a pretty good position. This should be a very easy position to lock out because it's fully rotated almost all the way by this point in time. The only downfall is, has this back foot driven? And the answer is no. We've really only had weight go to the toes, foot's in the ground. We'll see the drive movement would be this, but it can't occur because it's just going to slide underneath itself. Why? It can't drive you anywhere. Why can't you be driven anywhere? Your front foot's already on the brake. You're already on the ground. You don't have the ability to go forward. And because of that, when this is trying to drive and rotate forward, it can't go forward because forward has already been gotten as much as you can. So anything more can't exist. So it's just going to kick out underneath you. It's going to kind of kick out underneath you. Kick out underneath you. Kick out underneath you. Versus a drive forward, drive forward, drive forward, drive forward, and then through. We got a weight to the toes, and now we're kind of moonwalking back is just sliding underneath us. Okay, so a lot of us that want to kind of see a better idea of what our back foot looks like to drive, we can be kind of watching my man here, and I do apologize, I don't know your name, don't know your number. Don't take this as me being mean or trying to pick on you, because I myself, when I played, I wore Oakley glasses. I didn't necessarily wear your type of glasses, but I did wear glasses. But I was going to call you Squints, but don't take offense to that. So maybe that could be a cool nickname if you like it. Squints was a pretty sweet, dope dude in the Sandlot. But if you guys want to know and see how that back foot drives, at least to that point, doesn't get to complete its drive, but it drives a pretty good amount, we got to watch Squints here and what he's doing. And if you don't like that nickname, I do apologize. I won't call you that no more, but until you tell me no, you're Squints. So top leg lift, real good. Like we said, front side gets in a pretty good position here once front foot stabilizes, but that back foot just didn't have time to do its rotation. And we can also see once this finally does stabilize how much this upper body has rotated at that point in time, which then only allows us really that power. Yes, that front leg does stabilize and lock out, but again, at what position is our upper body at when that's occurring is the less than ideal spot to create power and to help us get down that mound with force. All right, Red Rocket. Sorry if you don't like that nickname. I think it's a pretty sweet one. There's a lot of guys I know that are Red Rocket out there. Because, boom, front foot strike for us. Yes, the heel does hit first, which we want to, again, we all trying to get this felt out. And it's going to take some time of you guys being on a mound to understand how to angle your foot at contact so that it is flat. But once it is flat, the knee is in a pretty good position because, boom, there we can see the belt buckle. Let's watch the back foot. Boom, it's going through a drive process. It's going through a drive process. It's going through a drive process, and he's gaining ground. If we look, this front foot hasn't gotten to this tape yet. And as he's rotating that front foot, it's not just in place, but he's gaining ground. That's because the backside is driving, bringing that front hip forward. Upper body is staying closed. Glove is in a pretty good position down here. He's got to hope that it doesn't go out anymore, and it shouldn't because it's already gone through its swivel. A little bit, but it shouldn't be too detrimental to what we got going. And because we couldn't get the drive all the way, like I said, we're going to see that same side effect where it kind of kicks out from underneath us because of that. So if we could have got to here at front foot strike, that foot would have stayed on and then driven us through more. But we can see we're able to get closer to being out in front and through release here. We're close. We're very, very close as well here. Okay, but we can also see that the knee is kind of swiveling, and by the time it does finally actually lock out, the ball's already out, but it's not as detrimental because the mount that it's moving isn't as much as some of the other guys that we've seen, but it is still doing some, or still causing some limitations to what we got going in terms of our power production, which also with all of this coincides to our stress loads on our arms. So if we then pull back up, wham, oops, didn't want to do that necessarily. That. Trying to think of who we're doing so we can kind of keep same people's. We got Chapman. I know it wasn't. Oh, this is the side view, huh? I don't want that. My fault. We got Chapman. I know it's not the same one we watched last time, but that's okay. Who else? Do we have Kershaw? I think we probably had Kershaw, right? I'm sure we had a Kershaw. I know it's two lefties. Sorry, all you righties. I'll get one of y'all. Dylan Cease. Wait, which Dylan Cease? Which year is this? Is this before he made the adjustment or after he made the adjustment? Before. After. Okay. Dylan Cease, if you guys don't know, educate yourself. Chicago White Sox. He's a dude. Do we do Hunter Green? I can't remember if we did Hunter Green or not. We'll do Hunter Green. He's a dude too. 103, Cincinnati Reds. Hey, how you doing? One of the highest Ks per nine in the league this year. We had Familia, I believe. Yeah, because I was talking about his bow and arrow. Greinke? Do we have Greinke out there too? We'll get Greinke. Okay, so oh man, Greinke is moving fast here. And he's not going to be clear enough. Yuri's not going to be really clear enough either, but if you guys just want to watch one more time, here you go. Okay. Hunter Green. I'll show it to you at 2 speeds. There's that one. Then here's a closer view. A little bit slower down. Front foot strike. There's the knee. And it's not going out. It's just locking out so he can go down with it. Dylan Cease. Go full time with it. We'll pull it back, let it see that perspective. Okay. And then watch that back leg. Watch that back foot, rather. Boom. Turning over and driving into his front foot strike. Seeing the belt. Everything's rotated and turned over. And now it's upper body gets to rotate where? Out in front and down. Back shoulder's coming straight on through. Wham! Where's he finishing at, fellas? Balanced. Dude throwing upper 90s. Bam! Right there. Boom. Clayton Kershaw. Obviously not throwing upper 90s anymore, but where's he going to be at front foot strike? Boom. Everything's through. So that way the back shoulder can come down and out front and through. Boom. Yes, his leg went all the way over there, but if that continued, he wouldn't be falling anymore. He'd be balanced after that. That foot is going to slide under, and he's good to go. Chaps. Oops, sorry. All at once. And then stopping it at front foot strike. Boom. And then getting everything to be out in front then. Under controlled balance at the end. Some of you guys can't even see at the end of your videos because we're kind of flying out after. So we got what? We got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We got 12 dudes here. And all 12 of us need to work on our lower body rotation. We need to learn a lot of us need to learn how to drive off the mound with our back leg. And all of us need to learn how to rotate our front leg better into front foot strike. So no spoilers, but probably won't even need our gloves next week with me. We're going to be doing a lot of lower body drills that won't even involve throwing. We just got to create muscle memory. We got to create new patterns. We got to create new sequencing with what we're doing with our lower body and when we're doing it by, like the time, how quickly we're getting it done.